What's good, world? How we doing today? MIAB, I'm back with another reaction video. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Make sure if it's your first time here, you hit that like and subscribe button. Today we're going to be doing a little something different. We're going to be doing Joe Rogan, Lost Technology and the Great Pyramids. I'm not going to do a lot of talking. I'm going to screw the spiel and we're going to jump straight into it. Again, appreciate everybody tuning in.
Of all these ancient structures. And the stones are immense, and some of them were cut from a quarry that's hundreds of miles away. How do you think they did that?
Well, some of them, the granite in the Great Pyramid comes from more than 500 miles to the south. If you look at the famous King's Chamber, its walls and its roof are, the ceiling of the King's Chamber are all made with gigantic granite blocks.
Stunning detail.
Stunning detail. Those blocks on the roof of the King's Chamber weigh 70 tons each. Now, Egyptologists will tell you that, they could move heavy blocks because they put them on wet sand and they push them along on wet sand. Well, maybe if you're just at ground level, that will do. But when you're 300...
Right, I was going to say that. Facts, like, this isn't just some big pyramid that's all hollow in the middle. Like, there's like secret passageways, there's tombs at the top, there's like little like kingdom, I don't want to say offices, but like, yeah, little rest areas at the top, like a bunch of different stuff like that. This isn't just some big hollow, you know what I'm saying, a big hollow pointy thing. Like, literally, you know what I'm saying? Like, this actually got stuff inside. They were actually putting booby traps and stuff like that to hide the tombs. I keep saying stuff like that. I'm going to try to stop saying that, but it's just such a habit. But yeah, you know what I mean.
350 feet above the ground as you are in the King's Chamber, that won't do at all. I don't know how they did it. All I know is they did it. I don't think anybody knows how they did it, how they lifted those stones, how they brought them up to that level. I think we're looking, again, at a lost technology. And it was this ancient apocalypse, 12,800 years ago, that wiped that from the human memory banks almost completely. Not entirely completely because there were survivors, but removed most of it. Randall will tell you, sea level rise, it creates a powerful high energy zone. Mm-hmm. Anything that was existing on those flooded coastlines has just been pounded to hell. I mean, talk about it, Randall.
In the beginning, after
They don't pay me to be showing you these ads.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot more energetic than now. I mean, imagine your sea level rising at 3 or 4 times at least faster than we've seen rise in the last century. And within there, juxtaposed are these episodes of very rapid sea level rise. So you're talking about a very energetic intertidal zone. And anything that's there, short of large megalithic blocks, is going to be utterly obliterated by the time the process is through. And I think that this is one of the things that, the archaeologists and the prehistorians, people are looking at that, have failed to take into account the severity of these events we're talking about. Because the question always is, where are the artifacts? Where's the pottery? Where is the evidence that this civilization existed? And I have two...
It's basically saying it's completely wiped out. Very few people get to live, probably the babies and stuff. They're growing up, they forget these things, they're not able to, like, tell the next generation.
Responses to that. One, you don't realize the extent of the total remodeling of this planetary surface that took place. Because, I mean, we could get into some of the stuff here. I have tons of images where I think maybe we'll get a chance to pull up a couple of really awesome drone footage here before we're done. But once you begin to wrap your head around this, you go, really? It's like, imagine that you drop an atomic bomb on a city. And it completely obliterates it. And then a short while later, you drop another one on the same place. What's going to be left? And then 10,000 years, 20,000 years goes by. What are you going to what are you going to find? What are you going to look for? It's going to be just rubble that gets reincorporated just into the geological stratum, and it's going to be very difficult to differentiate, for example, from what...
That leads me, I was going to say, I didn't see people say, like, actually, Joe Rogan, I seen him say, the pyramids are made by sound and vibrations. Like, maybe they had a tool to make, the vibrations move the rocks and stuff like that. I didn't seen them say aliens. I didn't see them say that. But the real scientists are actually saying, like, this is something that happened over time, or it was like it kept getting added onto, or like just over time, and then eventually it just became what it was. through generations and generations and generations of people doing it, not just one day it just got there and them doing it and everybody was just gonna remember it, because people were getting wiped out, people were coming across it, people were losing things. Like, there's probably a million things we don't know where it is, and probably will never know where it is until we're all gone. Simple as that. Not too hard to understand.
What's called a conglomeratic rock, which is basically we have just a huge jumble of broken rock cemented together. Right? Now, within there could be all kinds of stuff that's not even recognized as being artificial in the sense that humans had anything to do with it. The other thing is when we talk about these ancient technologies, if we're only looking for a mere reflection of ourselves, we could overlook it completely, because I think there's evidence that exists now. I mean, some modern researchers whose work has been buried or suppressed, I think we're getting very close to rediscovering some of the things that our ancient ancestors were up to. And maybe this would be worth a whole show in itself. We could dive into this, and I don't want to get into that today.
But what kind of technologies are you talking about?
Well, I just...
Yeah,
I shouldn't...
I was going to say, like, yo, these scientists, they really get into this shit. And sometimes they don't even want to, like, sometimes they'll know something and they don't even want to talk about it because it sounds so unbelievable to, like, the normal person.
Really get into that.
Get into it.
Get into
Come
it,
on.
Randall.
We got to get into it.
Okay, well...
We've opened the door, sir.
Okay. Well, okay.
The passing of the HDMI cable.
The passing.
A sacred moment.
Well, there are people out there now who have been working on trying to rediscover that. And again, I don't want to digress too much into this now, because I would really rather be able to give a whole treatment of it, and it might kind of derail us a little bit from this. But there are people who've been working on these things for decades now, basically in secret. And I've had the privilege of talking to some of these people over the last 6 or 7 years. And right now, as we're speaking, there's a group of people who are basically going to open source a whole lot of stuff in the next 3 months, so it can never get suppressed again. And that's why I'd like to come back and talk in more detail.
Well, I'd love to have you come back and talk about it, but we got to talk about it a little bit now.
Okay, well...
Joe just wants to know so bad.
There's a laboratory right now in the Maldives that's been building prototypes using these technological principles, which are based on implosion rather than explosion. And the inspiration for this...
Tesla's ideas are part of it, I think you mentioned.
Tesla's ideas are very much a part of it. Yes, Tesla's ideas are very much a part of it. So is, I don't know if you ever, Victor Schauberger, who did the work with water and discovered, look at, Jamie, could you look up Victor? Oh, I have I have the cable now, don't I?
Take it back. Let me find a video.
Well, no. Let me pull.
Let's make sure.
Pull something up here, and
I think the key thing is we're looking at technologies that are not the same as ours.
Yes.
And that's
Yes,
partly
that's the
why
point.
archaeologists can't see them, because they're looking for us in the past, and they're not open to the possibility that there are whole other kinds of technology that could be used.
Right.
I always go back to the ancient Egyptian traditions that speak of priests chanting as these huge blocks were lifted into the air. Were they using some kind of sound effect, some kind of use of sound that was able to manipulate matter? We know that sound can manipulate matter, as a matter of fact, but they're lifting these blocks. It's again and again it appears in ancient Egyptian traditions. The notion that we could lift huge blocks with sound seems absurd to archaeologists, and yet it's there in the traditions of the Egyptologists. And what Randall's talking about now is people who are working on a whole alternative path of technology, and maybe that's a rediscovery of the kind of technologies that were used.
I hope y'all are hearing this. This is crazy. So they're basically trying to recreate that low key. They have a warehouse somewhere that they have people with money that are actually doing this. It feels like they don't want to say too much until they actually see it like happen. But
By a lost civilization.
I think that's what's important about what you're saying, is that we have this very limited idea of technology based on what we've experienced.
Yeah.
But if you had anatomically similar human beings that lived for thousands and thousands of years.
Stuff just keeps on getting older.
If you think about the amount of progress that we've achieved as modern humans just in the last few hundred years, if you go back 400 years to now, it's a stunning amount of achievement.
Absolutely stunning.
And if you have
if you could go back on Google and search 100 years from today, whenever you see this video, and then just imagine if they could do that in 100, imagine what they do in 1,000, and it's just crazy because we made it halfway there. So you know what I'm saying? If you look that up, then you're gonna realize how far we done made it. I mean, look up New York in like 1901. It's completely different. It's ridiculous.
Completely different path of technology.
Yeah.
One that's not utilizing internal combustion engines and cranes and the like that we experience
leverage,
today.
mechanical advantage, everything that our tech is based around.
Something that's insanely advanced, tens of thousands of years of a different path.
Yeah.
And that may be what we're looking at.
And that may begin to explain these otherwise inexplicable monuments that have survived.
Jamie, do I need... There we go. This is the work of Nikola Tesla. And he was, again, this is...
I was just going to bring him up. He literally reminds me of Tony Stark's dad. I don't remember. I don't know if it was Henry Stark or something like that, but it literally reminds me of that. And then Elon literally reminds me of Tony Stark. It's just so crazy. The technology.
This is way too much for us to get in today. That's why we need to devote a whole session to talking about this.
Okay.
But this was the inspiration. You know, his work was suppressed. A lot of his patents were taken, sealed up by the U.S. government for whatever reason. I don't know. But this is some of the stuff that's now being developed using his ideas plus some of the others. This is the man I've been talking to for the last 7 years.
Malcolm Bendall?
Yes. And again, I don't want to get into it today, but like, here's an example of what they're doing. This is a generator that has no moving parts. It's all based on geometry, pure geometry. Mm-hmm. And here's the basic idea, as I think I understand it at this point. Resonance frequencies. Everything vibrates. Have you ever, like if we had an electric razor, we plugged it in, turned it on, set it on this...
I was going to say, like, if you put a little portable speaker down and you just let it play, it's not going to stay still.
Table. Bzz, it's going to move around, isn't it? You ever seen that?
Yeah.
That's the beginning of the concept because it's vibrating. Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. And I think that's the basic idea of what we're looking at here. And it's all based upon the ancient numbers.
That's wild. I'm going to end it here because I think I'm going to do a part 2 to this video. But let me know what y'all think. Let me know how y'all think they created the pyramids. Let me know what the technology or if aliens, if you think that's how they did it. But also put proof in the comments. Like leave a video or leave something I should go look at. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Check y'all out.